Most people believe that if God wants to bless them, it will happen automatically. They think if they pray hard enough, the wealth transfer will just come to them. But that is not how God works. The Bible shows us again and again that before God releases a financial blessing, He tests His chosen ones. He does not give wealth to just anyone. He looks for those who are ready, those who have proven they can handle what He is about to release. Right now, God may be testing you, but you may not even realize it. What if the struggles you are facing, the changes happening around you, and the feelings deep inside your heart are actually signs that He is preparing you for something bigger? What if what seems like a setback is really a test to see if you are ready for the next level? Most people miss their moment because they do not recognize the test. They see difficulties and run. They feel fear and hold back. They experience loss and think they are being punished, when in reality, God is making room for something greater. If you are watching this, it is not by accident. You were led here because you need to hear this message. God is moving, and He is preparing His people for a great shift, but only those who understand what is happening will step into the blessing. Today, I will reveal the 7 signs that prove God is testing you for a wealth transfer. If you recognize even one of these in your life, it means you are closer than you think. But the question is, will you pass the test, or will you miss your breakthrough? Pay close attention because what I share next could change everything. Many people believe a wealth transfer is simply about receiving more money, but that is only the surface. The truth is, before any increase comes, there is always a test. It is not about how much wealth you can gain. It is about whether you are prepared to manage it with wisdom, faith, and purpose. If you are in a season where things seem uncertain, where financial opportunities appear and then slip away, where you are being stretched in ways you never expected, you need to recognize that this is not a sign of failure. It is a test of your ability to handle what is coming. Before you receive more, you must prove you can manage what you already have. If your foundation is not strong, wealth will not be a blessing. It will become a burden. And this is why so many people never reach the financial breakthrough they desire. They see the challenges and assume they are setbacks. But in reality, these challenges are divine tests meant to refine them, strengthen them, and prepare them for something much greater. Right now, you may be experiencing pressure in ways you never have before. Unexpected expenses, financial losses, missed opportunities. These things can feel like roadblocks. But what if they are actually proving grounds? What if what you are going through is not meant to break you, but to reveal whether you are truly ready to receive more? A person who lacks discipline with a small amount of money will not suddenly become responsible with a large amount. A person who hesitates to take small steps in faith will not be ready when greater opportunities come. The struggles you are facing are not there to discourage you. They are there to shape you. The real question is, will you recognize them for what they are? Will you stand firm in faith and learn the lessons that will unlock the next level of abundance in your life? Because whether you pass or fail these tests will determine whether you step into the financial breakthrough that has already been prepared for you. There was a time in my life when I thought I was ready for more. I had prayed for financial increase, asked God to open doors, and even saw small opportunities start to appear. But every time I got close, something would happen. A sudden expense, an unexpected loss, or a door that seemed to slam shut right when I thought I was stepping through it. I couldn't understand why. I kept asking, God, why does it feel like every time I try to move forward, something pulls me back? I started to believe I was being blocked, that maybe I was just unlucky or that God wasn't hearing me. But the truth was, I wasn't being blocked, I was being tested. I was asking for more, but I wasn't managing what I already had wisely. I had no real plan. I spent money without thinking. I made decisions based on fear instead of faith, and deep down, I wasn't truly prepared for the blessing I was asking for. The opportunities weren't disappearing. They were showing me where I still needed to grow. It took me a long time to realize that sometimes God doesn't give us more because we haven't yet proven we can handle it. A person who can't manage a little won't suddenly become responsible with a lot. A person who hesitates to act in faith on small things won't be ready when a bigger opportunity comes. I had to shift my mindset. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? I had to ask, what is God trying to teach me? And the moment I made that shift, everything changed. The struggles started to make sense. The setbacks weren't punishments, they were preparations. Right now, you might be in the same place I was. You feel like you're doing everything right, but nothing is moving. You see others receiving breakthroughs while you're still struggling. But what if this isn't rejection? What if this is your test? What if God is watching to see if you will be faithful, disciplined, and wise with what you have before He releases more? Because the truth is, before every breakthrough, there is always a test. And those who recognize the test and pass it are the ones who step into their blessing. The question is, will you see it for what it really is? Or will you miss it like so many do? The first sign that God is testing you for a wealth transfer is financial instability. This is when you feel like no matter how hard you try, your money does not stretch far enough. You save, but unexpected expenses drain it. You work hard, but every time you take a step forward, something pulls you back. It feels like you are stuck in a cycle where no matter how much effort you put in, financial security remains just out of reach. And this is where most people start to doubt. They wonder, why is this happening to me? If God wants me to have financial abundance, why does He keep allowing these struggles? But what if the struggle is not a sign of failure, but a sign of testing? What if this is not about keeping you down, but about proving whether you are ready to handle what is coming next? God never increases someone financially without first seeing if they can manage what they already have. Many people pray for a wealth transfer, but they do not realize that financial increase is not just about having more money. It is about having the discipline, wisdom, and responsibility to handle more. If you cannot remain faithful and wise with a small amount, how will you manage great wealth? Most people fail this test without even realizing it. When financial pressure comes, they panic. They start making emotional decisions based on fear instead of wisdom. They start blaming circumstances instead of taking a step back and asking, what is God trying to show me in this season? This is the refining process that prepares you for increase. Before God can give you more, He has to see how you handle the little. If you're in a season of financial instability, you must shift your perspective. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Start asking, what is this trying to teach me? This is the moment where you must evaluate how you handle your resources. Do you have a plan for what God has already given you? Are you making wise financial decisions? Or are you acting out of fear? Are you being intentional with how you steward what you have? Or are you simply reacting to every financial challenge? The reason most people never pass this test is because they assume that financial struggle means God has abandoned them. But in reality, God is observing how you respond in this moment. He is watching to see if you will remain faithful when things are tight. Because if you cannot be trusted to manage lack, you cannot be trusted to manage abundance. So what do? First, you stop panicking and start getting intentional. This is not the time to make rushed financial decisions. This is the time to step back, assess how you are handling your money, and correct the areas where you lack discipline. Second, you choose faith over fear. Financial instability is not meant to break you. It is meant to strengthen you. The question is not, will this season end? The question is, will you pass the test before it does? Because make no mistake, when you show that you can be faithful in this season, you will be prepared for the next. The second sign that God is testing you for a wealth transfer is when opportunities seem to slip through your fingers. You prepare, you work hard. You see doors begin to open, and then suddenly they close. You get excited about a new job, a business deal, or an investment. And just when you think it is finally coming together, something happens to stop it. The opportunity vanishes. The deal falls apart. The contract does not go through, and you are left wondering why. At first, it may seem like bad luck. You might start to feel frustrated, even discouraged, thinking, why does this keep happening to me? Why does it seem like every time I get close to a breakthrough, it disappears? But what if these setbacks are not random? What if these delays are not meant to block you, but to prepare you? This is one of the most misunderstood tests before a financial breakthrough. Many people assume that if an opportunity disappears, it means they were not meant to have it. But sometimes, God allows delays, not to deny you, but to strengthen you. He is watching how you respond when things do not happen on your timeline. Will you give up, or will you stay faithful? Will you panic, or will you trust that what is meant for you cannot be taken away? Missed opportunities are often a test of your patience and your perspective. They force you to slow down, to reevaluate, to make sure you are truly ready for what is coming. Because the truth is, Not every door that opens is the right one. Not every business deal is meant for you. Not every financial opportunity is a blessing. And if you move too quickly, without wisdom, you could step into something that looks good, but is not God's best for you. Many people fail this test because they react emotionally. The moment something does not go their way, they assume they are being punished, or they rush into the next opportunity without thinking. But this is where discernment matters. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" start asking, "What is God protecting me from? What is He teaching me through this delay?" Because when one door closes, it is often because another, better one is being prepared. If you have been experiencing repeated delays or missed opportunities, do not be discouraged. Instead, take a step back. Look at how you are responding. Are you staying grounded in faith, or are you allowing frustration to control you? Are you seeking wisdom, or are you rushing into decisions out of fear? Because how you handle these moments will determine whether you are ready for what comes next. A wealth transfer is not just about receiving abundance, it is about handling it wisely. And sometimes, the delay is not about withholding the blessing from you. It is about making sure that when it comes, you are truly ready to receive it. The third sign that God is testing you for a wealth transfer is when things you once relied on start to disappear. It could be a job, a business, an investment, or even certain relationships. You may have been comfortable where you were, thinking that what you had was enough, but suddenly, it begins to slip away. At first, it feels like a loss, like something is being taken from you unfairly. You ask yourself, why is this happening? Why would God allow me to lose something I worked so hard for? But what if this is not a punishment? What if this is preparation? When God is getting ready to elevate you, He often removes the things that no longer serve your future. What once sustained you may not be able to hold the weight of where you are going next. And if you refuse to let go, you could end up holding on to something that is keeping you from stepping into something greater. Think about it. How many times have you seen people fight to hold on to a job they have outgrown? How often do people cling to business ideas that are no longer working, pouring time and energy into something that is failing because they are afraid to move on? This is the test. God is asking, will you trust me enough to let go? Because if you are not willing to release what is in your hands, you will not have the capacity to receive what He is trying to give you. Most people fail this test because they mistake loss for failure. They see something being removed from their life and assume that they did something wrong. But God does not take things away to hurt you. He removes what is no longer necessary so that you can receive something better. What seems like a setback is often a setup for something greater. The problem is that many people resist the process. They hold on to the past, refusing to embrace what is coming next. If you have been experiencing unexpected loss, do not panic. Instead, ask yourself, is this loss making space for something greater? Because often, when God removes something, it is because it was never meant to go with you into the next season. Do not fight to keep what He is trying to move. Instead, open your hands, release what no longer serves you, and trust that what comes next will be far greater than what was left behind. The fourth sign that God is testing you for a wealth transfer is when people you once relied on start to distance themselves. Suddenly, those who supported you seem uninterested. Friends who once celebrated your success become silent. People who used to walk with you start fading away, and you feel alone in ways you never have before. At first, this can feel painful. You may ask yourself, why is this happening? What did I do wrong? It may seem unfair, like you are being abandoned at the moment you need others the most. But what if this rejection is not meant to hurt you, but to prepare you? What if the very people who are walking away were never meant to go where God is leading you? Many people struggle with this test because they believe that the people in their lives today should be part of their future success. But the truth is, when God is preparing you for a financial breakthrough, He often allows certain people to leave so that they do not interfere with what He is about to do. Some people cannot handle the blessing that is coming your way. Others may secretly resent your growth, and some were only meant to be part of your journey for a season, not forever. Think about it. How many times have you held on to relationships that no longer serve you? How often have you tried to keep people in your life who were never truly for you? This is the test. God is asking, will you trust me enough to walk alone if necessary? Because sometimes, the only way to prepare you for your next level is to separate you from those who would hold you back. Most people fail this test because they chase after those who walk away. They try to prove their worth to people who were never meant to see their value. But the moment you stop fighting for the approval of others and start focusing on what God is doing, everything changes. The rejection no longer feels like a punishment. It feels like protection. You begin to understand that not everyone can handle the version of you that God is creating. If you have been experiencing unexpected rejection or isolation, do not let it shake your faith. Instead, recognize that you are being set apart for something greater. Do not waste time mourning relationships that were meant to end. Instead, stand firm, trust the process, and prepare for the new connections, opportunities, and divine alignments that are coming your way. Because when the wealth transfer arrives, the people who are truly meant to be in your life will be the ones who can handle the weight of the blessing with you. The fifth sign that God is testing you for a wealth transfer is when you start experiencing intense pressure and frustrating delays right before things are supposed to happen. It feels like you are on the edge of a breakthrough. Opportunities seem close, doors begin to open, and everything appears to be aligning, only for unexpected obstacles to slow you down. You make progress, but then something holds you back. A deal that looked certain suddenly falls through. A job opportunity that seemed perfect vanishes without explanation. A financial blessing that was almost in your hands gets delayed for reasons you cannot control. In these moments, it is easy to feel discouraged. You may begin to wonder, why is this happening now? Why does it feel like every time I get close, something blocks me? But what if these delays are not meant to stop you, but to prepare you? What if the reason things are taking longer than expected is because God is refining you in the waiting? Many people assume that when delays happen, it means God has forgotten them. But delays are often a test of patience, a test of faith, and a test of obedience. Will you stay committed to the process, or will you give up because it is taking longer than you expected? This is one of the hardest tests to go through because it requires endurance. When things are slow, doubt begins to creep in. You start questioning whether the promise was real. You start wondering if you misunderstood God's direction. And this is where most people fail. They assume that because the blessing did not come quickly, it is never going to come. They abandon their faith right before the moment of breakthrough. But if you look at the patterns in life, you will see that the greatest victories come right after the hardest moments. The pressure before the breakthrough is not a sign that things are falling apart. It is a sign that something is being built. When you are under intense pressure, it means you are being shaped, refined, and strengthened for what is coming next. God does not want to release wealth into your hands before you are prepared to handle it wisely. If you are experiencing unusual delays right now, do not mistake them for denials. Stay faithful, stay obedient, stay committed. The longer the preparation, the greater the blessing. God is not just preparing the opportunity, He is preparing you. And when the appointed time comes, everything will align exactly as it was meant to. The real question is, will you endure the test? Or will you give up before the blessing arrives? The sixth sign that God is testing you for a wealth transfer is when doors begin to open, but they seem too big, too overwhelming, or too impossible for you to step through. You pray for increase, you ask for more, and then suddenly, a massive opportunity appears in front of you. But instead of excitement, you feel fear. Instead of confidence, you feel doubt. This is the test. God does not call the qualified. He qualifies the called. When He is preparing you for greater financial responsibility, He does not start small. He places something in front of you that forces you to grow into the person who can handle it. This could be a business opportunity that seems beyond your abilities, a financial investment that stretches your faith, or a leadership position that makes you question if you are truly ready. The mistake most people make in this moment is retreating back into comfort. They look at the opportunity and think, I'm not ready. I don't have enough experience. I don't have the skills. What if I fail? But what they fail to see is that the very thing they are afraid of is the doorway to their next level. The opportunity is not the reward. It is the test. Will you step forward in faith, or will you let fear keep you from what God is placing in front of you? Many people miss their wealth transfer because they turn back when the challenge feels too big. They assume that if something is truly from God, it will come easily. But that is not how God works. He stretches you before He blesses you. He calls you into deep waters before He shows you how to swim. Every person who has received a financial breakthrough has had to make a choice, to stay where they were, or to take a step that felt impossible. Right now, you may be facing a moment just like this. An opportunity is in front of you, but instead of embracing it, you are hesitating. Maybe you feel unqualified. Maybe you feel like it is too much too soon. But let me tell you this, if God brought it to you, He will bring you through it. He is not looking for people who have all the answers. He is looking for people who are willing to say yes and trust Him with the rest. If you feel this in your spirit, do not shrink back. Do not let fear rob you of what God is trying to release into your life. Step forward. Even if you feel unprepared, take action. Even if you feel uncertain, because what you are facing right now is not just a challenge. It is a test, and if you pass it, you will step into a level of blessing you never imagined. The question is, will you let fear hold you back, or will you trust that God would not place something in front of you unless He was ready to equip you for it? The seventh and final sign that God is testing you for a wealth transfer is when you experience intense resistance, spiritual attacks, and overwhelming obstacles right before your breakthrough. Everything seems to be going well. You are making progress. Your faith is strong and doors are opening. But suddenly, out of nowhere, everything starts falling apart. Unexpected problems arise. People you trusted turn against you. Doubts creep into your mind. The things you were sure of yesterday now feel uncertain. It feels as if an unseen force is actively working to stop you. This is not a coincidence. This is a test. The greatest opposition always comes before the greatest breakthrough. The enemy does not attack people who are going nowhere. He only attacks those who are on the verge of something great. If you are facing unusual resistance right now, it is because you are stepping into a level of blessing that the enemy does not want you to reach. One of the biggest mistakes people make in this moment is assuming that resistance means they should stop. They think, if this was really from God, it wouldn't be this hard. But that is exactly the lie that keeps most people from receiving their blessing. The closer you are to breakthrough, the more intense the battle will become. It is in these moments that you must stand firm, because the pressure is not a sign to quit. It is a sign to push forward. Many people give up at the very edge of their promise. They let the fear, the doubt, and the distractions convince them that it is not worth the fight. But those who endure, those who refuse to be shaken, those who stand on God's promises despite every obstacle, they are the ones who receive what was meant for them. Because every great blessing comes with a test, and only those who pass the test will walk into what God has prepared. Right now, you may be feeling exhausted, discouraged, and tempted to turn back. You may be wondering why everything seems harder than it should be. But let me tell you this, if the battle is intense, the blessing is even greater. This is your moment to hold on, to keep moving forward, to trust that God is working even when you cannot see it, because what is coming is far greater than what is behind you. If you can endure this test, if you can stand firm in faith, if you can push through the pressure, you will step into a breakthrough that is bigger than anything you imagined. But the question is, will you hold on long enough to see it? Have you ever felt like no matter how hard you try, something keeps holding you back? You work, you pray, you push forward, but every time you get close to a breakthrough, something happens. An unexpected expense, a lost opportunity, a door that seemed wide open suddenly slams shut. It feels unfair. It feels exhausting. And deep down, you wonder, is this a sign that I am not meant to succeed, or is it something else? What if I told you that the very struggles you see as obstacles might actually be proof that you are being prepared for something greater? What if the delay is not a denial, but a divine test to see if you are truly ready for the responsibility that comes with wealth? Because wealth is not just about money, it is about stewardship. It is about wisdom. It is about how you handle what you already have before more is placed in your hands. Think about it. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to get ahead, but then everything crumbles because they were not ready to handle it? That is not just coincidence. That is what happens when someone receives a blessing before they are prepared for it. And this is why God tests His people before He elevates them. He is not just looking for those who desire wealth. He is looking for those who can carry it responsibly, who will use it for good, who will honor Him with it. Right now, you may feel frustrated. You may feel overlooked. You may wonder why things are taking longer than expected. But what if God is watching how you handle this season? What if He is waiting to see if you will remain faithful? If you will trust His process, if you will prove that you are ready for what is coming? Because breakthrough does not come to those who complain, who give up, who turn back at the first sign of difficulty. It comes to those who recognize that every test is part of the preparation. Now, take a moment and reflect. Have you been treating this season of waiting as a punishment or as preparation? When things get difficult, do you question whether you are truly meant to receive God's blessing? Or do you hold firm, knowing that trials always come before triumph? The truth is, many people walk away from their blessing without realizing how close they were. They mistake challenges for rejection when, in reality, they were just one step away from receiving exactly what they had been praying for. Think about your own life. How many times have you almost given up, only to realize later that things were working out in ways you could not see? How many times have you questioned why something did not happen, only to realize in hindsight that you were not truly ready for it at the time? This is the pattern of spiritual growth. The waiting season is never wasted. It is the place where God shapes you, strengthens you, and prepares you for what is ahead, but only if you recognize it for what it is. So I ask you, how will you respond to this season in your life? Will you let doubt and discouragement keep you from what is meant for you? Or will you stand in faith, knowing that every struggle is shaping you, strengthening you, preparing you for something greater? Because the truth is this: if you can endure the test, you will walk into a blessing far greater than you imagined. The only question is, will you hold on long enough to see it? Right now, you have a choice. You can continue to question, to hesitate, to wonder if you are on the right path. Or you can step forward in faith, trusting that what is happening in your life is not a mistake, but a divine process. You are not meant to struggle forever, but before God entrusts you with something great, He needs to see that you are ready to carry it. If you have ever felt like your breakthrough was near, but somehow just out of reach, comment below, "I am ready for my blessing." Declare it in faith. Let it be a statement of your belief that God is working, even when you cannot see it. Because when you declare something in faith, you shift your mindset and you align yourself with what God has already set in motion. Ask yourself, what if today is the day everything changes? What if the only thing standing between you and your breakthrough is the way you respond to this moment? Will you keep your eyes on the challenges, or will you fix your focus on the promise? Because those who hold on, those who endure, those who remain faithful, they are the ones who step into the fullness of what God has prepared. And right now, that choice is in your hands. Are you ready to receive what has already been set aside for you? Comment below, "I will not miss my breakthrough." Let your words be a declaration of faith, because your season of testing is preparing you for something greater. Hold on. Your blessing is closer than you think. You have seen the signs. You now understand that before any great blessing, there is always a test. And if you recognize these tests in your own life, it means you are closer than you think. But recognizing the test is just the beginning. Now, the real question is, how will you prepare for the blessing that comes next? Because wealth is not just about receiving more. It is about multiplying what God gives you. If you are not prepared, what was meant to be a blessing can become a burden. But when you handle wealth with wisdom, when you apply biblical principles, when you align your actions with faith, God's blessings will not just reach you, they will overflow through you. Right now, you have a choice. You can ignore these signs and continue wondering why things are not shifting in your life. Or you can recognize that you are being prepared for something greater and take action in faith. The ones who understand this truth, the ones who respond to the test instead of resisting it, are the ones who step into financial breakthroughs that others only dream about. So let me ask you, which of these 7 signs have you seen in your life? Have you faced struggles that now make sense in hindsight? Have you experienced shifts that you once thought were setbacks, but now you see them as preparation? Type "I see the signs" in the comments below and declare it in faith. Acknowledging the test is the first step to passing it. If you are ready to take the next step, if you want to know exactly how to multiply what God gives you and position yourself for lasting abundance, then do not stop here. Watch the next video, God's Wealth Blueprint, How to Multiply What He Gives You. In it, you will discover the exact steps to steward, grow, and increase the financial blessing that God is preparing for you. Go watch it now, because the ones who prepare before the blessing arrives are the ones who step into financial transformation.